Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner Horror Podcast. I'm your host as always, Corey. And let's just jump straight into it. From 2019, Crawl. Um, Basically, it's a story about a young woman named Haley, and she's obviously got a sister who calls her up and says, basically she hadn't heard from her father, and she would like for Haley to go check up on her. There's a Category 5 hurricane heading their way, so she wanted her to go check up on her father. Right away, you can almost see that Haley really just doesn't, or kind of doesn't want to go. So obviously, there's some kind of tension there between her and her father that she just honestly doesn't want to go. Um, but she ends up kind of just going anyways to kind of appease her sister, I think. So she goes, and as she arrives at her father's apartment, she realizes he's not home. So then she goes to check on him at their family's house. Now, I will say that I guess like her father and her mom had pretty much split up, and I think the house is for sale. He was pretty much just trying to get rid of the house. Um, so as she pulls up, she notices that her father's truck is there. So when she goes inside the house, his tools are laying around, his phone is on the counter. So obviously, she realizes her father is here somewhere. So she's now searching for him. The dog starts barking from the garage, and you see where there's like stairs leading down into a crawl space underneath the house. Um, so she goes down to investigate, see if her father's down there. She's calling out for him. He's not really responding, and she comes across some blood. And that's when she realizes in the distance she could see her father's laying there unconscious. So she goes to his aid, and upon her arriving to his side, she notices that he's got some gaping flesh wounds here on his shoulder. So obviously he's unconscious because he's in pain. So she goes to drag him out of the basement. As she gets to the stairs, there's this ginormous alligator that busts through the stairs at her, um, and things just escalate just like that. Uh, Basically, she gets her leg bit, and pretty much she's able to get away from him, but she's now trapped in this crawl space with this ginormous ass alligator with her father. And I'm pretty much just gonna leave it there. Since this is a newer film, I really don't want to give a whole lot away. Um, but yeah, so let's just jump straight into the things that I liked and I disliked about this. Dislikes. Basically, CGI. So the first initial scene that you see with the alligator, um, honestly, I felt that could have been a little bit better as far as CGI. Um, and that's all I really have to say. I guess it's just me ultimately like nitpicking the CGI. I love all the rest of the CGI in the movie actually. Um, every alligator scene, stuff like that's really actually pretty decently done. You can definitely tell there's a lot of practical effects as well in this film, but there's also a lot of CGI. I'm not one to like CGI, but it worked for the movie. It's not bad. Just like I said, the first initial scene where you see the alligator, it's like could have been better, but that's again just me nitpicking. um, Things that I love about this movie, and yes, love. Uh, Character building. Let's jump on that straight away. Like I said before, there's obviously some tension there from Haley to her father. Her father pretty much just shows ultimately unconditional love throughout the movie with his daughter. Haley, however, uh, not so much blames him for her mom leaving him and the family pretty much splitting up, but I think she's ultimately pissed off with him because he pretty much let it happen. He didn't ultimately fight for it. Um, so I think there's the tension right there. Pretty much that goes away through the film as the film progresses, because they realize that they need each other and they work with each other to get out of the situation that they're in. Um, yeah, just overall, it's a really great film. Some of the camera angles are really done well. There's this nail biting scene where Haley's, just to let you know, I didn't cover this before, but she's also like a national champion swimmer. So she can swim pretty decently against these alligators. So there's a scene where she's actually swimming outside of the house, and just pretty damn cool scene where she's underneath the dock. And you see all these alligators just kind of above her. It's really cool scene. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Um, some of the other scenes that I really like. There's this one scene where her and her father have obviously made their way out of the basement or crawl space or whatever, and they're in the middle of a street because they decided they were going to cross the street to get to the gas station across the street where there's a boat. So they're standing there, and the next thing you know, or as they're walking, because they're walking kind of gently, because there's so much rain and wind happening that they can pretty much get past the alligators this way. But there is, like, ultimately they're in the middle, and then all of a sudden they're in the eye of the storm. So there's no rain, there's no wind, and yeah, he's like, stand still. And as she does so, there's this ginormous ass alligator that swims right in between them, and it's just nail biting as hell. Um, but yeah, just some of the uh, scenes though that there's kind of, like I said, pretty much this movie runs at 87 minutes, so, and it's just intense the whole way. It picks up kind of slow in the beginning, but it's just building it up. That's all it is. But once you get past that build up, man, it's intense the whole way through. Um, there's this really cool scene in the bathroom where she outsmarts the alligator. It's pretty kick ass. Um, we'll say there is a scene where I had to pretty much turn my head, and there was a scene where what at first all you see is him go to lift his leg, and you see the bone lift up out of the skin, and it's like, oh gosh, and then he has to pop it back in place, and that was another uh, head turning moment for me. Um, a lot of jump scares. I will say that there is some quite a few jump scares. Body count really isn't that high in this movie either. I believe only like 5 people die. Um, but just overall, I'm glad I picked this one up. This was a great movie to add to the collection. So I'm really happy I bought this. This was a fun one. My wife and I, we kind of like tend to watch the killer animal movies. We watch Jaws quite often, so this was right up both of our alleys. So this was a great film to buy and watch. Um, yeah, honestly, can't say anything else about this. This is just phenomenal. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Highly recommend this Crawl. Um, and like I said, I got that this week, and I will go ahead and tell you that I'm planning on doing like an end of the month, pretty much what I've picked up. So that's coming in the near future. So right at the end of the month, I'll be doing that. But yeah, uh, I actually subscribe to Horror Pack. If you don't know what that is, it's a monthly subscription, um, in which um, I'm not going to be doing unboxings, or at least not right now, just because there's so many of those on YouTube right now. Um, I'm honestly just going to do like an end of the month. This is what I've picked up. So, but yeah, um, as always, like, share, subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, and leave a comment down below on if you guys want me to do like a review or special review for you guys, or um, you want me to do it's like a top 10 list, or just anything. Let me know what you guys want. I can even do like a shelf by shelf if you guys want to see my collection. I've got a pretty extraordinary collection. But yeah, that's going to be it. Later, guys.